there. I'm super excited and really happy that you're watching this. Maybe you watch this as a video, or you listen to this as an audio, or as a part of a program because I'm spreading my presence across different media, especially in these times, in these turbulent times when many of us go through changes, whether that's job, whether that's, relationship, perhaps health, perhaps all of those things. Maybe it's a loved one who goes through change, and we are trying to put ourselves out there and really put this positivity forward. And it's easier said than done, right? It's easy when everything is going well. And unlike when things actually don't go according to the plan, you sign up for a program and you want to finish it in a year, but then you get sick or you get sidetracked because you realize, okay, my work is actually taking way more time and I cannot finish it. Whatever is happening for you out there, it is happening to all of us. And this is also why in today's little session, I wanted to encourage you and I want to give you like three simple strategies to help you manage stress better. I know this is a big topic and there is 1,000 videos out there. And especially now when, during tech layoffs, just had a discussion with a friend the other week, and she's going through a rough patch because, as you could see and hear what's happening in the tech, Google fired people for about, and the severance package was about 1.6 billion. So they got rid of 12,000 people, and they're going to be getting rid of more people. And this is really disturbing news for many of us because there was a period of growth and everybody hired and hired. Now, obviously, as you can see what's happening in Europe and around the world, economy is slowing down, things getting a little bit, slower, and people are panicking. Suddenly they realize, okay, we have so many people on a payroll and we cannot afford that. And, it is unfortunate, but this is the reality of things. Then we have also wars, right, that are happening in some part of the world, and some tensions and some things nobody even talk about, hunger and, the sustainability that we need to talk about, and a lot of bigger issues that need to be tackled. But underneath all of that is our individual proposition to the world and how our USP, how do we handle the situation. So how you climb in a company or in your personal life, more stress gonna come your way. And sometimes it won't be easy to make the right choices. And to make the right choice, first and foremost, you will need to be very centered. And this is what today's video is about. It's not about making those decisions, because that's the step number 2. But in order for you to make those decisions, you need to actually be quite centered in where you're standing and how you're feeling and how you taking the decisions. And in my life, I had a lot of situations where I had to be quite centered, or learn to be more centered and learn to manage stress. And the first thing I want to give you guys, kind of the first strategy, take a sip of water, is take a new approach. One thing that helped me a lot in my life is to surround myself with great people, mentors, great leaders, coaches, who everybody provides a certain perspective. But in the end, you had to decide by yourself, right? So, a lot of times much of life stress, in my opinion, arises from how we perceive the situation. It's funny because sometimes that two people, like I mentioned, my friend and somebody else, might face a layoff, and everybody, or switching within a company. And for one, it can be super stressful, and for the other person, it can be just, okay, I saw that coming. And it's this inner narrative that we tell to ourselves, and inner perspective, which play a significant role. And I know you might know this, but as I always say, common knowledge is not common practice. And ask yourself where in your life, in current environment where you're at, perhaps family, work, or even in relationships, where you need to reframe your point of view, and the viewpoint needs to kind of be changed in your mind. By doing so, I think you can really reduce the stresses in your life. And what I want you to remember as well, stress is almost impossible to avoid entirely. We always need some type of stress and stimuli. And cortisol is obviously the hormone that causes stress. We need it, or cortisol is released when we exercise. But it's also when managed well, it's a good stimuli. Endorphins and adrenaline, it propels us forward. It pulls us and pushes us into action. And sometimes when situations are tough, we've been sometimes asleep and didn't really pay attention to what's going on out there. And situations like this can really awaken us. So focus on managing the internal voice, internal stress. And as I call it often, all of us can, have it's a lot about really your mental game as well. And managing your mental game, in my opinion, and in my life, what I try to do is always have this perception of inner castle, inner citadel, which is surrounded by walls, which is surrounded by water. And, even if there is an enemy outside, which is, external environment things, I can decide if I let that enemy cross the bridge or if I actually decide to close the walls and say, no, nothing is coming inside. And I know this sounds really hypothetical. And for many of you, maybe a little bit, over the top. However, when we focus on managing our mental well-being and we prioritize ourselves, we can, always find a way out. And I want to tell you, you will always figure out the next step. And even if it's not the ultimate step, it might be the next best step for you. So the second thing I want you to do as well when there is a stressful situation, let's say, there is so much going on, like for me this week, so many things, and I find out, you know, extra news, and then I need to figure out that I need to help my loved one and that there is extra project coming at me, and all of this can create tension. So one thing that helps me a lot is burn off tension. I try to engage in a physical activity every day, so some type of exercise, stretch, to really reduce the cortisol levels. We already talked about it's the stress hormone, and find a way to restore balance, if you will. So I'm genuinely choosing activities that I enjoy. A lot of it, for a lot of you out there who don't know me really personally, I've been in a fitness for the last 20 years, and I competed as well in a pro bodybuilding. And before that, I was also in doing obstacle racing. But, even if you're not that active, maybe you like to swim, just like I got recently again into it because of the free diving that we got into with my partner, Kate. And but even if you're not into these things at all, it doesn't matter. Maybe you enjoy gardening, what's nature, walks, yoga. Do some of those things or all of them. And the anticipation of these activities, which I see in my life, can make you motivated and reduce actually stress. So to sum this up, I would really recommend you to prioritize self-care by incorporating movement. Jim Quick says when your body moves, your brain grows. So it doesn't have to be really intense. It just can be light exercise, and it can make a difference. And the secret here for many of you, it's consistency. Because many people that I know in my life, they've been, on and off and always forget to exercise and move and do something when the stress is high. Because when you go for a walk, maybe you hold your breath and you focus right there, or you're looking at the sky and you count the birds and you disconnect. And this is what we need now more than ever. The third point I want to give you, and three is the charm, is really get organized. Disorganization and clutter are big enemies of, you know, peace and are really good friend of stress. So spend time setting up systems to streamline, your daily life. I know this might sound really counterintuitive to, let's say, you're going through a big decision, switching jobs. Maybe your loved one is sick and you need to figure out, okay, what are we gonna do there? How are we gonna take it together as a next step? But sometimes having those extra motivational systems that will help you to move forward when you're struggling can create some peace. So, for example, you can design a specific spot for frequently misplaced items like car keys. I know this is again super silly. I exactly do that because I know there are probably two, three places where I can find a car keys. Second is plan ahead for stress inducing periods such as anniversaries, surgeries, financial challenges. And again, I know this sounds very straightforward because we've been all surprised by negative news, breakups, but often, if we are really honest, we can see that coming, And this is what can create a peace, because you can create, even if you don't have a solution right there, right now, you can really put yourself in a best state of your mind and say, okay, I've seen that probably coming. I maybe underestimated it a little bit, but now I am in a spot where I am in a driver's seat. And let me tell you, you can always be in a driver's seat. Just like the systems that I'm describing to you can really be the safety net for you to take that stress away. Because if imagine you have something really big over here and lost key over there, and this stress piles up, and suddenly you're freaking out. One thing that helps as well is, again, going to the health and fitness routine, is establish routines for exercise, healthy meals, and adequate sleep. I was listening to my favorite coach, Brandon Burchard, this morning, and he was talking about these three R's: release, rejoice, and the third was sleep, pretty much, rest. So just use the three R's. And he does this every evening when I mean, if you Google Brendan Burchard release meditation, let me just set it up for you here. Um, so you will, this is the long lane and long way around it, but just that you, I think half an hour, so you can Google also the simple one. And just scan the QR code here, or let me just have a look. I think I put it in a wrong setup, but anyways, it's just Google release meditation, and then you can get um, Brandon Burchard. And one thing that he does really well is really this routine. And I think one thing that really captured me is sleep, especially because last year I a little bit ignored it, if I'm honest, and I was a lot of times tired, a lot of times over caffeinated, and then I don't sleep well at the night. So it's like this downward spiral. This year I'm trying to go back to the basics and honor actually these habits. And I know, again, for some of you, you parents, it's a completely different story, but still you can try to set your life up in a way so that even if you have to wake up multiple times in the night, that you can go maybe earlier to bed, or you have a nap, whatever that is. Remember, it's very important to set your life up for success. So just to sum this up, by organizing your environment and planning ahead, you can really reduce the nuances and that create more stressful um, and resilient life. So in a sense and in a nutshell, stress can cause havoc, but when we actually set our life in a way which these little tiny habits are in place, it can be our safety net. So remember that managing stress is only the benefits are apologies, more than emotional. It is also about how well it impacts your health. So take a deep breath, and embrace these strategies and prioritize self-care, just like you see with me. Drinking enough water can really help you to prioritize self-care. So overall, remember, all of us, it's not about perfection, it's about doing the things, just like me, recording the video, mumbling and rumbling, having a squeaky voice. It's really funny, because sometimes in life that's how it is and that's how it goes, but yet we got to keep going, we got to keep putting ourselves out there. So I really wish you a beautiful day. I wish you that you take this in a way that serves you and you can overcome stress better, even if sometimes you lose your voice and you're not so motivated and not so focused, that these little habits bring a little peace in your life. So I really cheer you on. Hit me if you really struggle. I want to talk about this, because there is a lot of people actually I meet right now who go through this stress and who really look for shelter, who look for, I want to actually do something really meaningful with my life. And sometimes it can be very scary to switch, to change. But remember, you can really easily take ownership, when you take a new approach, when you burn off some tension, and when you get organized. These three habits help me in my life to have a clean table, have a nice, clean environment, and feel safe when everything else out there is going crazy and I can't control it. What you can control is in between your ears, in your mind. So remember that there are things you can control. Remember your inner citadel. You can set that up, your inner castle, whatever you call it, your inner special kitchen or backyard where you feel safe, whatever that is. Do it and be happy. So until the next time, stay motivated and stay awesome.